Every year, I kind of get a chance to reflect back a little and about the service that you provide this community. Sadly, there seems to be some, especially in the elected appointed ranks, that don't quite understand the value that you bring to this community. And we need to change that dynamic. You are the force multiplier for the Spokane County Sheriff's Office. Without you, we could not function the way we do. There are events that occur across this county that would not happen without you, and if they did happen without you, it would cost these communities, especially the smaller communities, more money than they could afford to do to have those events. You are what makes Spokane County, Spokane Valley, and the city of Spokane, because you do a lot of volunteering for them, work and function. So you are the ones that make it all work. Thank you very much for volunteering. In the last, if I remember my numbers correctly, 5 years, some 323,000 plus hours, saving Spokane County roughly $10 million. That's your economic impact. So you've heard me say it 1,000 times. Thank you for all you do and how important you are to us. I just wish that we could make sure that everybody in the Spokane County understood your value and what you bring to the table. The men and women of the Sheriff's Office that are here tonight, you do an amazing job. Without you, this community would not be as safe as it is. A little perspective, folks. The city of Spokane has about 217,000 people within its borders, and it's a kind of a smaller, contained border. Spokane County, minus that little portion of land, is roughly 1,753 square miles. And you police that area in a population of roughly about 252,000 with 100 less personnel than the city of Spokane. And you have consistently dropped the crime rates in this county and in the valley. Thank you. People sometimes ask me about the little talks I give. I never know what's going to come out because I don't write them down. I can only tell you that it is because of the men and women in this room, both volunteer and commissioned, and admin staff. Our admin staff, you don't get enough credit. Julie, you do an amazing job every year on this. Thank you. The command leadership, the lieutenants and above, you don't realize, folks, how few of us there are. The county did a graphic, and the sheriff's office has roughly 4% leadership at mid-level and above. There are county agencies that have 50%. We have very few people that do an extraordinary lift, and I really appreciate the lieutenants and my command staff for that lift. Mark, you do an amazing job in the Valley. Thank you very much. Each and every one of the lieutenants, I appreciate the work that you do. You have a lot of people under your span of control, and at times it gets a little hectic for you, but I appreciate that. To the stripes, you're the ones that really make this thing go as far as the leadership, because that's where leadership is most valuable, is at where the rubber meets the road. I can tell you, folks, that over the last 5 years, we have been fortunate enough to build a sergeant's corps that I would stand against any in the nation. They are that good. So thank you for your leadership that you provide our young troops. because we are young. We are hiring, matter of fact, and let me rephrase that, we need to hire more, but we are hiring as fast as we can. And we have some talented young deputies that you had a chance to see on this stage tonight. Thank you for your enthusiasm, for the hard work that you perform. And, you know, it's not nice being second guessed every movie that you make. Get used to it. That's just life. Matter of fact, the higher up you go in the food chain, get used to it even more. Because pretty soon, everybody's second guessing you. Again, I could not be as successful as people say that I am without you. But I also have another core of folks that I'd like to thank, and that's our Citizen Advisory Board. You do an amazing job. You have done more work than many people want to give you credit for. Stacks and stacks of documentation of every event that you have to review. And guess what? You do it for free. And you reminded me of that in 2015 when we thought about joining with the city of Spokane's ombudsman system. I'm glad that fell apart. Oh, did I say that? That was in my outside voice. The other aspect I'd like to thank is my partners at the leadership level in this area. You know, I have some great chiefs that I work with. Mayor, Chief Asmus is second to none. Lee Bennett in Airway Heights, John Hensley in Cheney, Craig Meidel, and an individual that he's always there when you need him. So, Captain Jeff Otis, thank you for all the work that you do in this community. You are kind of one of those unsung heroes. You're pretty much a rock. I really appreciate the work that you helped us do at Freeman. And for that work, I didn't have a chance to get it in this year, but you will be receiving the Sheriff's Star. I really appreciate the fact that you are always there for us, and your team's always there. So thank you very much, Jeff, and thanks for being here tonight. Captain Jeff Otis. I want to wrap up with this. It's been kind of an amazing year, 2017. There are events that I wish we wouldn't have had to live through. But I can tell you, folks, that the events that are troubling are when I have young deputies come into my office and say, Sheriff, I can't do this no more. I had one about a little over a month and a half ago walk in. 15 years, great troop. Sheriff, I can't do this no more. Corresponding with the week prior, we had 6 more officers in the United States, either attempted assassination or assassinations. That needs to end. And the only way that ends is for leadership in this country, the United States, to step up and say no more. We can't tolerate elected officials anymore that berate law enforcement, and I will not tolerate them. Life's tough enough for these kids out there, and I thank you for all that you do for us. You know, some people got a little upset when I stated our former president had a little to do with that. But sorry, folks, he did. You can't escape that fact. I can show you documented proof. In 7/17 or 7/7 of 2016 is a date that really changed my outview on a lot of things, because I have a little guilt. And that guilt was not speaking up sooner. Had leadership in the United States spoke up in December of 2014, when two New York police officers were assassinated, perhaps we wouldn't have had Dallas and Baton Rouge. And shame on law enforcement leadership in this country, because we kind of jumped in on that bandwagon a little, and I would kept going, what are you talking about? I'll give you a little perspective here. And I do this at speaking engagements, and I did it at our Citizens Academy recently. I have people list, over the last 3 years, mind you, all the horrible things that have come out about law enforcement. Folks, they can't get past 8. 8 examples. That's it. And sometimes I have to help them to get there. I'll give you a little perspective on that one. There's a book called Civil Liability in Criminal Justice, written by Darrell Ross. Ross did a lot of work and studies on 1983 lawsuits. Anybody aspiring to be a law enforcement leader, you might want to check that book out. And Ross stated that in 2005, there were roughly 296 million arrest contacts in the United States. 296 million. Times that by 3. You're close to 900 million, almost a billion. And you can only point out 8 times when we may have done something wrong. But if you really look at it, you look into the fact patterns, Ferguson was based on a lie, because that individual was not the victim. He was a criminal that was contacted by a police officer and decided to attack a police officer. That is the fact pattern. This country is ripping itself apart based on a lie, and that is sad. And that's where leadership is really lacking in the United States. We need to make sure that we hold that leadership accountable. You do too good of a job for the voices of each one, every one of you not to be heard. I thank you for your service. It's been an honor serving with you. I wouldn't trade it. Thank you very much. My wife would like a few words. And by the way, H, I was actually in a debate with one of the detractors about my Obama statement when this individual stated that law enforcement needs to simply suck it up when I mentioned that, the assassinations, suck it up. I get this page, I look at it, and I respond back to this individual, I've got to go. I have one of my guys down. I looked at Paul and said, got to go. H is down. You only get one of those. You better take care of yourself. Because, folks, that is a brother.